What the juck is, everybody? Jenna here, back at it with another Ctene Boss Mule showcase. This time, we'll be spotlighting the Adele, and I've got nothing to show on the right-hand side of the thumbnail, but look, I digress. Let's get into it. So, the Adele is quite juiced, sitting at 254 mil CP, and quite a lot of frags, about 1.8k invested, and its gear is pretty juiced. So we need to take a lot off this thing to get it within spec of the other lads. So this is what we're working with. Basically, I'd have to take off the emblem. You can't see it, but I've taken off Sacred Power as well. So it's nearly basically running naked at this point. But look, this is the Adele spec. Let's just jump into it. Nothing really fancy like Blast to talk about. But Adele is one of my favorite classes in the game. So let's just get into it. Alright, start off at 2x so I can yap about the class. Adele is a warrior. Alright, you know that much. Let's alright, well, let's be serious here. Core mechanics about Adele is that you'll be balancing a gauge. You can see it here in the middle of the screen. This gauge here. It's a two-prong gauge or a two-part gauge. The more of these swords you have on here, you have like a passive that procs and does damage based on how many of these swords you have. So ideally you want 3 swords out, so every so and so seconds. I forgot the activation time, but it will just dish out damage. So you ideally always want to be 3 stacks. And then this bar here goes up whenever you use cleave. Basically cleave. There's other skills that can proc it as well, but cleave's your main one. And then you can then use, you can actually consume this resource here because it gives you, I think this is like, I can't remember the number. This is like 400 energy, and it costs like 100 energy to use your swords. The 2 swords per 100 energy. I think it's 100 energy. They start flying around for about 45 seconds, which goes up to a minute if your hex is maxed out. And then these flying swords do passive damage as well. So you get like 45 seconds to build up more energy to use it again before it runs out, and then you have to keep 6 up. That's pretty much the premise of the gameplay loop, is that you're just constantly trying to fill the gauge up, resummon your swords, and go on and on and on. Now, Adele it has great burst every 2 minutes. It has a great mini burst every 1 minute, minutes, yeah. And it also has every 20 seconds you can do a bit of oomph with the bread and butter gather blossom combo, which you can see here. I'll press it here, press 3, then you press 1, and then this will bring all your swords either to yourself or onto the boss, and then you can just blossom and just do a shit ton of lands, it's always satisfying to do that. Adele received some great balance changes from the balance patch. I'll dive into those. I can just do it now. So the biggest things is that these swords you see flying around, they will disappear if you change maps or if you die, which was really annoying. Every dying was punishing, because if you die, you have to revive and then have to use all this energy, and then one of your DPM or damage skills does less because these swords aren't up. It was extremely frustrating dying on this class. It somewhat still is, because we have a skill called, it's up here, Grave Proclamation. Toggle, but it's a debuff toggle. And this one, for whatever reason, disappears on death, which is so fucking annoying. It also disappears on boss phase, which is also really annoying. I just wish we could just set this like passively, so we can just have it up. But the balance changes made it so that this class had a lot more like stacking mechanics, but now that's all been turned into passives, which is great. They had like 2 toggles, or 3 toggles. Now they only have 1. Oh, it's like a pseudo toggle, since it only works on a boss or a mob. And then you had to keep up a final damage stack by dashing all around the boss. Like these things here, these crystals. Where is it? Those here, this one right here. You had to dash to it, go through something to activate a final damage buff that lasted a certain amount of time. Now it's all passive. It's so much easier. Speaking of dashing, and let's just talk about quality of life now for Blast. I nearly said Blaster again. Let's talk about what? Survivability and mobility on Adele. Adele has really good. I wouldn't say survivability is amazing. It has 2 main aspects, basically 2. Biggest one is their Aether Guard, the skill here. You can hold it down, and basically when you hold it down, you're basically invincible. I think you get like a one-time block. You get a guard. It's not really an iframe. And then if you release it early, I think the rest of it's like a % damage reduction. Then it goes with like a 25 second cooldown, even longer or shorter if CD skip. And that was to keep everyone posted, a 6 minutes and 36 seconds the healer run. Not too bad. Basically right before Origin came up, which is a decent time. Their next like survivability skill, it's weird. I forgot the duration of it. I think it's 20 seconds, but it's like a big green bubble that spawns above you. You basically just throw it into your sequence when you burst, because it can also give you a tiny bit of damage. I think it's like 10% damage. But when you can see the shield that I got, gives you a shield. It makes you somewhat tanky when you burst. Just okay, since Adele's burst is quite long. It is 20 seconds. That's the duration of their big affinity skill, the map changing skill. So yeah, our Raw 5 does wonders on this class. Speaking of mobility, they have basically everything you could want. Basically everything. They have a backstep TP, which is great. That's their TP, which is only a backstep, but it's on like a 7-second cooldown. You have a rush, a dash, but it's a 2-input dash, which I'm not a huge fan of. But their best is their air store. So they basically have, if you have blink, you hold down blink, you can like hover, like if you stand in one spot in the air. Adele's basically have that on steroids. You do it whenever, very low to no cooldown. You only do it once per time in the air, so you have to basically reset the internal cooldown by touching the ground. But you can just sit up there. You get hyper stance during it, which is fantastic. And then I don't show it off much, but they also have a like a downward slam or plummet, which is also a skill that builds up this gauge. You barely use it. Well, I barely use it, but it's actually a decent skill. And then if you're up in the air, you can also dash with your 2-input skill. This is omnidirectional. Well, it's not really omnidirectional. It's like this skill here is your dash. And oops, sorry, you can't see my mouse. This skill here is the dash. This kind of spawns these crystals. You can spawn one every 7 seconds, and they also spawn passively. And if you use your big hyper skill here, use this big hyper skill here. It also spawns them all around the field. You can just keep ping-ponging if you wish all the way around, or you can just jump up, float, use your backstep, and then dash to get some crazy, interesting configurations of distance. So great vertical mobility. And that's Dark Now Dead. Dark Now Dead in, what, 4 minutes, 31 seconds? So it's not too... Pretty good. Pretty good Dark Now run. Get that another thing for my Star Force room, which was a great drop. Very, very appreciative of that. Thank you, Dark Now. All right, what else to up about? All right, so for their burst, Adele is one of the classes where it has a bunch of like passive things that does damage while you're also attacking the boss. Adele isn't really a big winner of, like, it doesn't get like as great benefit from attack speed 0 as compared to something like a hero. Sorry, as a hero. It's because you have Hunting Decree, which is all your swords flying around. That does damage. You have Bloom, Gather Bloom. You have Rain of Destruction. This big hyper skill that I forgot called Ruin. Like everything here doesn't really benefit from attack speed. But with that saying that, what you really do is you want to, whenever you burst, I'll showcase it here if I don't die. I'm fine. I think I lost door. You basically pop everything, pop your sequence, which also automatically pops. You have Storm and you also Affinity. And then you do one rotation of your Gather Blue combo throughout Rain of Destruction, throughout this skill, throughout Ruin, and then you go into Origin. And then during Origin, your swords are still attacking. The cooldown goes down for Gather Bloom, and then the Origin finishes, you can Gather Bloom again. Quite nice. I think that kind of changes with cooldown reduction. I'm running just 30% strength hat. No cooldown reduction yet on this class, but it is best in slot. Like you want a -4 basically as soon as possible. That'll give me a a new thing to talk about, though. One of the quality of life changes in this game, well, to Adele, is with their sequence, one of their 5th job skills allows you to have 8 swords instead of 6. 6 is the max, but then when you use a 5th job skill and you get this buff, I think for 20 seconds, you can now use 8 swords. However, now that they've made the change where that also gives you 2 swords. Or she just gave all 8, like, please, just give us all this max swords. It's the one thing I want Adele. I want Adele's to be able to have a skill, just gives them max stacks. I want to be able to press a button, get max stacks, because the issue I'm running into, or I've seen, again, look, this is more of a user error probably. But if you have less than max stacks, whatever stacks you want, you press Storm. Storm will consume basically all your stacks. I'm pretty sure this is still a thing. You know what? I actually fact check myself because I actually don't know this. I'm not sure if I have the game up. Alright. I need to fact check this because I think this is still the case. Because Storm basically, it used to just consume all your swords and then you have to like resummon your 6 swords, which is kind of cool. Like as like a mechanic where it's like, oh, you consume all your swords to make them turbos powerful. Then you gotta summon them again. I think the original one, you couldn't use your swords while Storm was activated. Alright, let me actually read this skill. Storm. Upon casting, once more than 2 Aether Swords have been commanded, the skill's attack count is increased by 2 for each pair of Aether Swords. Okay, it is still the case. So ideally, you want max swords whenever you use Storm. And the issue that I run into is that I'll sometimes not have max stacks. It's especially pungent. That's not the word. Because if you just use it off the cuff, you'll use your other 5th job skill that gives you 2 stacks, and then Storm, because of the sequence, just instantly consumes it, and you're like, shit, my Storm's now weaker. So you always before you burst, make sure you have max stacks, and then you can use sequence, which is it's slightly annoying, but again, it's you play this class for a little bit, it's like the sword management of this class, like the resource management is a lot better than it used to be, and the class is very, very approachable. But yes, I yapped a little bit too much, and I missed the time. That gloom was done in 5 minutes, 38 seconds. And I will have a new link in the description that showcases like all the run times for the classes I've done so far. Alright, ignore that. I failed. God, it's embarrassing. Failing Will in the big 2-6. Hey, look, sometimes it happens. Sometimes, like, this boss is notorious at catching you off guard if you're not paying attention. And there it is. Now I have to pay the price, and this runs now like 30 seconds longer. Probably longer, but it's probably a minute longer. God. Alright, so I yapped about that was the entire kit in 10 minutes. God. What else to talk about now? Like I'm finished with the class. Yeah, I do find the rush a little bit more responsive. Well, not so I wouldn't say responsive. I'd say a little bit more reliable. Just because I have to press one button. I feel like there's a delay because you have to like spam. I have to spam these 2 keys if I want to ever dash in a direction, and like there's always a cooldown. It's like damn. Whereas the rush or reliable, put glint, and it was recently added. Like well, back before I quit in 2020. Yeah, Dallas didn't have that shit. Can't remember when it was added, but hey, I came back to the game. Adele's now have a dash and then a rush, and it got improved. The speed got improved. It's still a little slower than I'd like it to be. It's no like Hayato dash, which is basically on a whole other level. Like God, Hayato mobility is just, it's fantastic. Adele is still good, but like Hayato can go anywhere you want, anytime you want, basically. Alright, well, phase 2. What about some class-specific tips for each boss? Like, do I have anything off the cuff, off the dome? You know what? I'm running out of things to talk about. Let's just increase the speed. Let's go 3x. So the gameplay loop for Adele is you burst, and then whenever Glare Bloom is up, Radiant Destruction is also up quite a bit. It's like on a 30-second cooldown. You throw it on. It's a little annoying if the boss is mobile, because random destruction is like a place down summon skill. It's a little weird in design. I wish this was like a dedicated like mobbing skill. Like it's like basically like the class is like only technical like place down summon, but its duration is absolute ass. I wish it was like Ren's skill, the Vitreous Heart, whatever it's called. Ball. You can switch stances. Give a mobbing one that remains active there for a minute, and then a bossing one that's like in its current state. That would be cool. Not quite enough juice to clear phase 3, and I blob it a little bit here, where I could easily just use guard to just tank all the white spikes or the white 1 KOs. I could even use Featherfall. I think it's called Featherfall for the backstep. But that is a 8-minute 31-second clear on Will. Would have been probably sub 8 minutes if I didn't flob it in phase 1. Moving to Lucid. The class does use a cooldown skip inner ability. Not a prime line. I think it's only a unique line for it. As you have, I think it's called Aether Forge. That's the skill that does damage based on what stacks you have on the sword. That can reset, which is kind of cool. And the only other skill on Adele's kit that also resets is Mirror Destruction, which is very, very weird. I think Shardbreaker here can reset as well, which is kind of cool because Shardbreaker can do a shit ton of damage, and that's a crazy multiplier. Let me look at this. Let me bring it up. It has a 2.5k, 2.5k% multiplier on this thing. It's a hard-hitting skill, which is just nuts. All right, diving into phase 3 Lucid, and absolutely, this is just a tech where save origin for it so you can burst through this much faster. Not quite enough juice to phase it, which is a little annoying, so I have to deal with Lucid being annoying while I try and chip it down. Now, one of the most, I think, by far one of the most annoying things with the class, and I still to this day do not know why it's a thing, but Gather Bloom, you ever only want to use Gather Bloom together. That's it. They have 2 different cooldowns. I think Gather's base cooldown is 12 seconds, and Bloom's base cooldown is 20 seconds. Why? Why is this a thing? I need to look at this now. So, yeah, Bloom, base cooldown, yep, is 20 seconds, and then Gather. Where is Gather? It's still called, it's called Noble Summons. Yeah, it's a 12-second cooldown. Like, why is it so different? Ugh. Shit pisses me off. That was a 4-minute and 16-second run on Lucid. Not too bad. And I think it was brought to my attention in a previous comment, but you do more damage to Slime when he's in the recovery set after test. So it's best to save origin for there, I believe. I think it's still a mechanic. I just can't confirm it. I could easily just go into a BA and just like test it like easily, especially on I think both my Kana and Haida run, which was like 5% away. Both of them were 5% away from clearing before another test. But there's no real diff. Like if you can't one shot it, just save origin for this state here. Like use it here, do the big damage. Yeah, onto my previous rat. Yeah, I don't know why Gather and Bloom are on the like odd cooldowns. It's so annoying because sometimes you may just use Gather a little too early. You think Bloom's off cooldown, but it's not, and then they desync. And because like if you use Blossom off the cuff, they will fight. You can't really see it because of my transparency, but wherever the swords are at the every given time, that's when you use it. You kind of want them all to be on top of each other. That's what Noble Summons does. Rather annoying, but hey, it is what it is. I'm hoping for some balance changes to fix Adele a little easier. It doesn't really need any other like damage buffs. I think it just needs more quality of life. I don't even mind if Noble Summons is increased 20 seconds. Just give them the same cooldown because you're only using them together. Because like Noble Summons used to be I'm not sure if this. God, look, there is just so much about this class and so many changes that happened. I swear this was changed. Look, there used to be a case like Noble Summons used to like give a IED debuff onto the boss. But they made that just a passive now. So like I think maybe that's why it's like you always want to apply it. Maybe that's a thing. All right, so Slime was defeated in 5 minutes 13, and this is a 1 minute 45-second gaming kill. Not too bad. Got him dead before the cooldowns came back up, which is nice, but it's nowhere near how fast the Hade was. And finally, we have Lotus, or the big ones. And maybe there's a better way to like divvy up the burst here, but I just send it. I come into phase 2 and like Infinity's just gone. Like it's a 20-second card, 20-second duration, and it's just all consumed into that cutscene. So maybe it was worth maybe save it and just use the 1 minutes there. Little things you can do to optimize these runs, but at the same time, it's like look, it's gonna no matter what, it's dying in 2 minutes, so it's like whatever. Maybe using Ascents, use the iframe for Origin, and then still not enough juice yet. But you can see if I get it a little bit stronger, like these things become a lot faster. Alright, so that's the Ctene boss Mules done. Now we're just going to wrap up with the final, let's just blitz through these. Let's go super speed. Holy fuck, it's so fast. We use a send through them. Get our money. I'm breaking my video player. Oh my goodness. But this will wrap it up for the Adele. We're looking at a 52-minute clear. We'll move that photo finish. Alright. Stack them done. And then we sell 52 minutes and 19 seconds. There we go. The Adele that was like, what, like 3 minutes faster than the Blaster, which is, hey, it's okay. What's really surprising to me is just how good Blaster is. Adele is still pretty good as well, and that's a decent. Like that's also with me screwing up Will, so it could have been maybe sub 50, maybe 51 point something. Who knows? Yeah, that's Adele. I think it's a great class. It's a lot less micromanaging and a lot less like macro management. Like you don't really need like. Sure, the summons get a little annoying, but they're a pretty decent cooldown. And it's like if you are attacking, like that's the thing. I think one of the biggest issues I didn't highlight, and this was, it's an issue in slime and bosses where you don't attack in a while. If you're not attacking the boss, this gauge here, I can do a better screenshot. I'm gonna bring back slime. But you can see in slime, let's not use wax. But you see here, I'm not attack. I can't attack anything right now in this state. Sure, I have max gauge, and I can summon here. And actually I'm summoning here right now. But there is nothing here to attack. So if this disappears, like the swords are gone. So I then have to wait until he's back up, and then I can start attacking him. Get this back up. But sure, it's a little fast to get it all. So it's like a non-issue. But you can only gain its energy when you attack things with your cleave, which is kind of annoying. Anyway. That is about it. I think I've yapped about everything I know about this class. I've probably missed something. It's been a while. They've been locked in. But yes, that is Adele. Go back to the... there we go. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a juck and good day. I'll catch you all on the next one.